Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to give you all a breath technique that can cool you down. Now, as you may or may not know, we have this Aries full moon fall equinox that is taking place. And I have made two videos on this subject about the Aries warrior. So if you would like to discover what the Aries archetype is and how you can use this energy to cross, break through, make a quantum leap in your manifestation ability, your creative life force, you can check out those videos. Okay, so what I'm sensing in the collective and sensing in my own personal journey through the subconscious or unconscious aspects of the self is self-punishment. So the shadow of Aries can be self-punishment. Now, self-punishment can be criticizing ourselves, judging ourselves, nitpicking at ourselves. So what we can do to cool ourselves down, because Aries is a fire. But when that fire gets out of control, it's like there's no stopping an Aries. Okay, if we have Aries friends, we know once Aries is gun-ho for this, there's no stopping Aries. And knowing my previous incarnations, I have been that person. Once I have gun-ho about a cause, okay, I'm gun-ho and there's no stopping me. Okay, so but with that fire, it's like a forest fire. A forest fire has its efficiency, but when it gets out of control, it can get out of control. But nature has its natural way of creating a relative balance or taming. That's why we have the 5 elements. Okay, but in our own personal lives, if we get too much fire, we may want to fire for a particular area within our forest, but we don't want the whole entire forest. So that's why we have to kind of bring in some element of coolness to channel ourselves, so that when we're more so a channeled fire, we're more efficient, meaning we're targeting what needs to be targeted instead of just targeting everything, and not everything needs that fire at that time, because we are multifaceted. We are made of dimensions. We are made of pathways. Okay, pathways in our neurology, and sometimes those pathways need a boost or need energy, and sometimes those pathways are pretty secure and they don't need that kind of energy. Okay, so when we can bring in some cool energy during these times when we are really, there's a lot of energy, particularly the Aries, like let's go, that kind of energy. It can, when it's out of control, when we have too much of this fire, what it can do is it can cause, for example, anxiety, because we don't know how to like control it. So it gets out of hand and then we don't know how to manage it. Okay, so a part of the Aries is learning how to manage that energy efficiently so that you can get things done. Okay, when you can get things done, you target the areas that need fire, that need energy, so you can boost it up, whatever needs a boost, like in a forest kind of thing. You need to cut those things that need to be cut so that the whole forest can be more prosperous and can be more efficient. We do these sort of cooling to just focus this energy, because when we focus this energy, particularly this Aries, we can experience a breakthrough within our, I like to say, particularly our psychomagnetic field, because a lot of times the psychomagnetic field, which is like right here at the head area, okay, sometimes when we have energy input into that neurological design, a lot of times that neurological pathways that we're most commonly traveling down in our day-to-day conversation with ourselves, sometimes it can be very negative. Okay, it can be tendencies and patterns that uh, block us or shrink us, or we lose energy, or we spin off as we thinking and thinking and thinking, creating these narratives, and then that creates a story that just doesn't feel good. Okay, so we want to give energy to the quantum leap or the breakthrough within that particular neurological pathway of like the monkey brain, or going through the past and the memories of the past, and we're giving so much energy, we're amplifying it. But the thing is that energy reserve is there to amplify it for us to break through. So energy wants us to break through. So not to just indulge and to keep ourselves just in that little relay with that thing that it keeps us not feeling good. Okay, it keeps us kind of almost, we could say, holding us back, or blocking us from freedom to to achieve the things that gives us a sense of joy and gives us a sense of creative imagination, those kinds of things. We just simply need to put in that meditative mind and allow that meditative mind with the breath, the cooling of the breath, to open our our understanding of this mind. Okay, and opening that understanding is simply being, like we say, this non-attached, or being a part, being invested in your mind. Okay, it's like invested in your mind, and that's a beautiful, probably the greatest investment you can have. Okay, because that mind, very much the psychomagnetic fields, we have a lot of people that have this psychomagnetic field that is just this energy swirl of, let's say, negativity or a tendency or a pattern that could be about, that basically creates self-sabotage, self-punishment, self-judgment. And what that does is it alters the other the other fields that we have, like the heart space, we have the navel space, and it can get everything into this instead of making these momentums that give us this will to kind of surmount or embrace or conquer everything. It gives us this kind of this staleness, this sameness, this resistance, this unwillingness, this lack of energy to do what we must do or must be for our life joy. It's pretty simple. Okay, so I'm not going to give you the full meditation. I'm just going to give you the breath, and want you to use the breath and take that breath and do what you will with this breath. Okay, again, like the meditative mind is the brightness in the eyes. Okay, and when we fear the meditative mind, a lot of times it can be self-sabotage, it can be self-punishment, it can be self-judgment. Those things, particularly in this Aries energy, come up. But the thing is, we must go deeper into ourselves, and deeper into ourselves, deep enough where we are sensing those energies, but we're sensing them from a place of, we want to understand. Not understand and let's think. Let's understand as let's be with it. Let's be with it as like a friend, as we are having a conversation with our friend. The more attentive, observant you are, instead of chatty or thinking, okay, projecting, but the more attentive you are to your friend, the more you understand, the more you learn what is that thing or that pattern, that tendency, that thought trying to tell you about yourself. Okay, a lot of times when we're projecting this self-hatred, this self-punishment, um, this self-criticism we got going on, we are just projecting more of the same destructive or the nightmare. But when we go deeper, as in a friend, in that space of being cool, being literally, it is a state, a flow state, in that cool, we are able to be attentive, observant to that flame, Okay, that rippling of the flame, and to understand. And when we have this internal understand conversation, a friendship with it, okay, we're not ruled by it. It's not the dictator and we're just kind of at the mercy of it. A friendship is we are in teamship with this thought, tendency, or pattern. And teamship is mutual understanding. Okay, meaning that pattern wants to understand you and you want to understand that pattern so that you can use this moment in time and space right here and now to be a fresh renewal. Okay, because when we have this fresh renewal in this moment, time and space right now, that's when the whole universe can begin to orchestrate for us. But when we are absent, a lot of times we're absent, that presence that presence that is being in this nowness can't soak up the celestial correlation or the celestial configuration that is right here and now. You can't soak it up because you're not in this space in time energy to be able to receive it. So that's why we connect with that meditative mind, to befriend those patterns and tendencies so that we can use what is here now to our utmost highest advantage. Because what is happening right here and now we can use to evolve that teamship. But if it's like a relationship, if we don't have mutual understanding, how are we going to evolve? There's a lack of communication. So we're not going to be able to evolve. It's just simple. Okay? We're just in spins off. You're in your spin off. You're in your spin off relay, meaning I'm in my projection of what I think that pattern is about. Oh, someone did this and that, and that pattern is creating, you do this and that, which creates this relationship that there's not attentiveness or understanding. Okay, we can have that, and that just kind of doesn't really evolve, does it? Because you gain energy when you understand something. When you learn a lesson, you tend to gain some energy or some momentum or some clarity that opens you up or opens a new aspect within yourself. So what we want is we want I like to say the neurological grid. It's almost like a Stonehenge. You have the metallithic structures, in particular geometric orientation, because those particular very important spots could resonate or vibrate in a very particular angle in correlation to the other stones that creates this particular geometric signal or message. Now, we want that in our neurology. We want the pathways to be in the right particular position in correlation to the other pathways, because our brain is multitude of pathways: creativity, masculine, feminine, the reptilian, the part of the brain, the more the beta, the gamma, the alpha, all of those waves are all in these orientation like a Stonehenge. Now, when we can get those in a nice position through the meditative mind, it happens just synchronistically. Then, when we take a photo of our brain, as if it's like a mandala, we have a mandala that resonates with very fine, organized, spacious availability. And what I mean availability is like we are available to receiving the universe infinite, because it's always available, such as ideas, such as visions, such as creative solutions, such as innovation, such as energy to make a breakthrough. It's always available. It's just when we are not available, when we're not available to receive it because our mandala is not in resonance with this now moment, but in resonance with some sort of pattern or tendency that keeps us in a relay, that keeps us kind of distracted or unfocused or desensitized or blocked or locked into some sort of story or narrative that's creating this reality internally that doesn't feel good, we have all that going on, is very difficult for that Mandela to be able to receive anything. Okay? So that's why particularly we meditate, particularly with the breath, because the breath cools us down. I mean, it gives us energy, but this one kind of cools us down. We're still going to be pumping of the navel, but the way we're going to do it is more so of relaxing, like a slow rise and a slow fall. Okay, and that supports the management of your fire. So a lot of us, we don't know how to manage our fire. So we get out of control, we get out of control, we get out of control, and then we self-punishment, self-judgment, self-criticism, and then that spins off, and then what we have is destruction and demise. Okay. And that's what we have collectively kind of going on right now. But the management of your breath through like the contraction and expansion even of the diaphragm, even working with the navel point and the flow, the chi of the movement up and the movement down within the body, it gets you in this ability to know how to channel your energy when it gets very high. Because when we get very high energetically, which is happening on the planet, a lot of times we have such subconscious destructive tendencies. We tend to just naturally use that energy for destruction because subconsciously, a lot of our ancestors, when they had a lot of high energy, what did they use it for? Usually not creativity, it's usually for some sort of destruction or something, okay, of themselves or others or whatnot. We have a lot of that going on, okay? So when we have this high energy, but we know how to manage the breath, we can channel it when we put it in the meditative mind. We can channel it consciously towards breakthrough rather than breakdown, okay? We have enough breakdown, but we need breakthrough. And breakdown is wonderful because sometimes we need to have a breakdown, especially if we're in something that just we need to be breaking down to its pieces so that can be refashioned. Okay, it's like a house. Like you got to take down the house so you can use the land to create a new house, and that's the breakthrough. You're breaking through the old to create something new, and that's nature. It's just part of nature, and even us. Our bodies die, we go into the earth, and new bodies come. Okay, that's just how it is. But when we have imbalance in that, we're just breakdown. What it does is we're having this aggravation on ourselves, like this. And sometimes that can be good because it pushes us to, it gives us that energy to move forward. But if we don't have that alleviation, then it gets breakdown, and we can't sustain that because everything is like an ebb and flow. We can't sustain that just ebb. We have to have a breakthrough. So you can relax in meditation. You're going to close your eyes, and the breath is through the nose. So it's 4 inhales through the nose and 4 exhale through the nose. So inhale, exhale, exhale. And when you feel that, you want to feel like when you're inhaling, you want to feel the rise of your rib cage, the rise up into your heart. And then when you exhale, kind of the slow, gradual dropping down. Okay, so this is getting you into how to manage your breath. So it's more of a fluid up and down, like the ebbs and flow, rise and fall. And what you're going to do, recite mentally, is sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma. So with each inhale, sa, ta, na, ma. Exhale, sa, ta, na, ma. So you can do this for 11 minutes. You can do this for 22 minutes. And basically what this is going to do, when you put focus, okay, channeling that energy on the chi, the movement of the rise and the fall, and you just allow yourself to be attentive to your thoughts, befriending your thoughts, you can begin to understand your thoughts and what they're trying to tell you, rather than you just making up a narrative. Oh, this is what that is. Okay, we make that, oh, that's what that is, and then it doesn't really make any just doesn't really make any shift or breakthrough. So we want to befriend it. It's like we're sitting on the couch with our, let the thoughts flow like a friend. They're just talking, you just listen. Okay, so you can understand. Okay, and when you put in that breath and just that quiet reflection, that meditative mind, just naturally, if you're just in a natural conversation with your friend, it's just, you just kind of just relaxing, chillaxing. Just, it's natural for two energies or just souls to come to its own kind of peace. Just peace. Because that's just what we know how to do. But we just need to allow it in. It's important. So, sa ta na ma, sa ta na ma, sa ta na ma, sa ta na ma. Okay, so 11 to 22 minutes, and that will help you to cool yourself down and to learn how to manage the fire. So the breath of fire, we create fire, but we need to learn how to manage it. Okay, so that when things happen and we feel a lot of heat, we know how to balance the breaking down and the breakthrough. Okay, so I'm going to leave you all with this, and just remember with self-punishment, we have polarities to all of these. Self-punishment, we have self-judgment, we have self-criticism. With self-punishment, we have self-healing. So that's the polarity. When we destruct, we create. So that's the polarity. So you can think about that when you're meditating. When you have self-punishment, you could say self-healing. Okay, so just be aware of that in your mind, that that's taking place, and you could focus on its opposite so you can come into the relative balance and therefore the understanding. And then we have self-judgment, we have self-compassion. So if you feel that self-judgment, you can focus on the polarity, and what it does is it just offsets anything that's just getting out of control. So everything's polarity, and that simply means, like the yin yang, it brings everything to equalizes. So if we just had yang, 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 which is the masculine, the patriarchal, we would have no room for imagination, and we would have no room for, visionary, the universe, and channeling that. Okay, that's why we have the yin, which is the feminine, so we can have the patriarchal structure, but the matriarchal kind of openness to discovering new things. Okay, so they're both important. We just have to understand that, not fear the polarity so much, but to be open to befriending it so that we can understand. So with self criticism, we have self awareness. So that's a very different energy. So again, self punishment, self healing. We have self judgment. We have, what did I say? We have self compassion and self criticism. We have self awareness. So again, when we just have self criticism without self awareness, what happens? We just criticize the mistake and we destroy ourselves through whatever means. But when we have the polarity, which is self criticism, we have self awareness, we are open to understanding. Okay, and that takes bravery, really, to open to understand yourself, learn yourself. The same thing with self punishment. Without the self healing, we are punishing ourselves, but we're not really growing, or we're not really learning. It's just, we're just cutting the grass and cutting the grass and cutting the grass, and there's no growth if we just keep doing that again and again and again. Okay, and then again with self-judgment, self-compassion, when we just judge, it very much shuts us down. We literally shut down. We don't want to talk. We don't even want to try new things. We don't even want to do that because we're just terrified of that. And what that creates is the self-judgment. It just creates more of this, I fear myself because of this, that. I fear myself, and therefore I fear life, and I fear other people. But when we have self-compassion, it's more so things happen and I am aligning deeper with my self-compassion so that I can move forward, so that I'm not getting tripped up on life and these narratives and storylines, but I'm having compassion. I'm breathing into myself, where therefore allowing myself to learn. Okay, when we self-judgment is like, I should know it all, and shame on me because I don't know it all, and therefore we can't learn if we're in that. But when we have a society that we have to know it all, okay, there, that without learner's mind, we don't really know anything at all. We just know the oblivion and just know things, but we don't understand them. We just know them. We just know that's a part of life, but we don't understand it. And when we don't understand it and its very kind of foundation and it's how it's coming about, we don't understand how to manage or how to change it. Okay, it's like we know this is the economy, and we know this is kind of the job structure, the institution structure, but the person who understands is like the person who goes in and learns. For example, in school institution, they learn through their own education in college, and then let's say they become an advisor, and let's say they become a teacher, and let's say they join faculty, they become a professor. And that is how we can kind of learn through the process of learning how to change a system. Okay, particularly like being the college dean, or becoming the college president or whatnot. It is through the process of learning that we learn what this is, and therefore how to refine or improve it. So a lot of us, we don't have that attitude, and therefore we're like 55 and we have this life, but we don't really understand any of it, and therefore we don't know how to like make it work for us, or how to change it, or how to change ourselves so that we can um, experience an improvement within it. Okay. So that cooling of the breath is the same thing as learning how to manage, which is the same thing as learning how to learn, which is a part of the Aries energy. Okay, so Satnam.